Good morning and welcome to another day in Mae Sot, Thailand. It is Monday, July 20th today, and that date is kind of important, and I'll explain why in a minute. I'm just heading out into the city, for no real special reason. I just have a couple of errands to run, and I thought I would drop by a coffee shop called Panumi. It's a place I tried to go to a week or so ago, and it was closed, or maybe 2 weeks ago. So I just thought for my morning coffee, I would head to Panumi and see if it's open today. But before I go there, I've had my eye on this stretch of canal behind me. I've gotten quite interested in the canals here in Mae Sot, and I like to walk along them when I can. And this little portion here, I've never kind of turned left and gone in this direction, so I thought that's where I'd go first. And then I'm going to hit an ATM, withdraw some money, see how that goes, and then head from there to the coffee shop. And who knows, the excitement might even extend to doing laundry today at a laundromat. That's kind of the life I'm leading right now. But let's go for a walk along the canal. I find this plant growth in the canals really interesting. It's so dense and thick, and I imagine there's a lot of wildlife down there that you don't see because it's all hidden by these leaves. Maybe a lot of turtles and monitor lizards. Who knows what lives down there. And of course you get a lot of insect life. Just saw a beautiful butterfly just landed down there. But I think there's a lot goes on down there that we don't know about. And here's the path alongside the canal. I often see people walking along here and people riding bikes in this direction and heading. I think this section of the canal goes around and then ends at a road where there's this major temple, and I plan on going that far and then turning into the temple compound and then heading back this direction to where the ATM is located over here. And then after that, I'll go to the coffee shop. So I said that the date, July 20th, is important, and that's because we are about 10 days away from the end of the 90-day visa amnesty. And the only reason I'm allowed to be here in Thailand right now with my technically expired tourist visa is because all foreigners were given a 90-day visa amnesty. And that ends at the end of July. And over the last perhaps 3 weeks, there's been a lot of conjecture, a lot of discussion, a lot of rumors, a lot of confusion online, amongst the foreigners still in Thailand about what's going to happen at the end of July. Like, what's going to happen with this visa amnesty? Are we all going to have to suddenly leave the country? Will we be allowed to extend our original visa, apply for new visas? Will they extend the visa amnesty? All of these discussions were going on online. And there were varying degrees of panic and general, confusion about what's going to happen next. And I was kind of acting like Sherlock Holmes, like a detective sifting through the clues and trying to figure out what's going to happen. And all signs for a while seemed to be pointing towards a pretty hard-line approach from immigration here, where they're going to say, okay, all of you foreign tourists who've been stranded here, we gave you 90 days to get out of the country. And if you're still here, well, that's on you. And, as of July 31st, out you go, out of the country you're going to go. That was kind of the mood I was picking up on. There was even an immigration official said something along those lines in an interview, and that led to a lot more speculation. And I think a lot of foreigners, myself included, were busy checking flights. I was looking into flights. There was really nowhere to go. Like, there's almost no countries in the world open to a wandering tourist like myself. So the only reasonable option seemed to be to return to Canada. And I was looking at flights back to Canada, how much they were, what would be involved in booking one of these, what would be the chances of that flight being canceled, once I did book it and paid for it. And then what kind of a situation would I find myself in Canada? Because Canada also is dealing with this, and the situation there is probably quite a bit more serious than it is here. So there are policies and procedures about quarantine and self-isolation and all these sorts of things going on in Canada as well, and I really wasn't familiar with what the rules were. So I was busy investigating all of this, thinking that in 2 weeks' time, I was going to be on a flight back to Canada. And, I was fine with that. If that's what had to happen, I was actually kind of excited at the thought. I haven't been to Canada in about 11 years, I guess. And I thought it would be kind of fun and kind of interesting to go back to Canada for a while. Wait the situation out there, and then if things open up around the world, then I can get back on a flight, return to Asia, and pick up my regular life here. So that's kind of where things were heading, and I was seriously looking at flights back to Canada, whether to Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, who knows where I would have ended up, because I have nowhere to live in Canada. So I don't have a home there. I don't have a house or an apartment. So even if I flew back to Canada, I'd have to work things out with friends and relatives, do a bit of couch surfing, visit some people and see if they would put me up for a while, things like that. Or maybe find an inexpensive room that I could rent somewhere in Canada. Though that's one big difference between Thailand and Canada. Here in Maysot, I have this lovely green guest house where I'm staying, and I'm very happy there, and it's affordable. We don't have anything like that in Canada, so life there would be a lot more expensive. So that's the situation I was in up until maybe the middle of last week or late last week. I'm only a short distance into the canal. You can actually see there's the bridge that I was on over there, and then I walked down this little path over here and then came around this circle. So I look at this little jungly area in that circle. Got a great big tree there and all this, water growth continuing all through here. And on this side, there's a large metal sheeting, corrugated tin wall, cutting us off from something over there. I don't know what's over there. And then late last week, everything quickly changed. I don't know exactly what happened. I have some suspicions about what changed, but the mood and the atmosphere in Thailand seemed to change overnight, and suddenly we were getting more details kind of trickling out from immigration. Nothing official, nothing definite, no solid details or anything. But they said that immigration, Thailand Immigration Bureau, had come up with a proposal for what to do about all the, hundreds of thousands of foreigners still in Thailand. And they were going to submit this proposal to Cabinet. And from what I've read, this proposal is being submitted to Cabinet tomorrow, Tuesday, July 21st. And then Cabinet will review it, make changes to it or leave it as it is, and then vote on it, either approve it or, reject it, one or the other. And when you sift through all of the articles online and kind of read between the lines, this proposal seems to say that for foreigners who are in Thailand on an expired tourist visa, that, right now the visa amnesty takes us until July 31st. And according to this proposal, they will give us 60 days, more or less 60 days from that point, in order to do something, to either leave Thailand or arrange for a visa extension or get a new visa or something. So basically, it's kind of weird though, the language is very confusing. The government official was very careful to say this is not a visa amnesty. This is not an extension of the original visa amnesty. He said this is a grace period. So the grace period will go up until September 26th. And during this grace period, you are expected to do something about your visa situation. Either, make arrangements to leave the country. And if you want to stay in Thailand beyond September 26th, then you will have to go to immigration, submit an application for a new visa or visa extension, And again, reading between the lines, it seemed like the possibility for a visa extension for a tourist is quite slim. That what they're looking for is tourists. Anyone who's here on a tourist visa should leave Thailand before September 26th. And if you can get a long stay visa, you know, like a work visa or a student visa, medical visa, if there is such a thing, then you can do that. But short stay visas for tourism, you would have to have an extremely good reason and a lot of documentation in order to be approved for that. But again, all of this is pure speculation. We don't know anything for sure yet, and we won't find out until tomorrow at the earliest. And maybe we won't know until late tomorrow or maybe on Wednesday after Cabinet votes on this proposal. And then I believe it has to go through another stage and be published in the Royal Gazette. And once it does that, then they can make an official announcement. So we might not know all the details until late this week, in fact. But my hope is that I won't have to leave Thailand within the next 7 days, right? Or within the next 10 days. That's the hope anyway. So that's what's going on here in terms of visa status and my stay in Thailand. I'm hoping that I will be able to stay, if I choose to, until September 26th. And that's what's going on over here. Well, I've reached the end of this section of canal. It was quite a short section. I mean, the canal itself continues on the other side of this road, but there is no sidewalk over there, so there's no way to continue walking. So I either have to get back onto the streets or just sort of turn around and follow the canal back. Well, I decided to just walk back along the canal and then I'll head towards the ATM. Yeah, the past week I've kind of gone into a bit of a hibernation. I haven't been out exploring Mae Sot very much. There's been a lot of rain. There's been a few days I got all organized with my cameras. I was going to head out, check out new restaurants and things like that. But then the second I open the door to go outside, I find out it's pouring rain again. And then I just turn around and go back into a hibernation. And my hibernation has involved a lot of podcasts, a lot of reading, a lot of movies and TV shows. So I think the rest of this video is going to be kind of a media roundup. I finally got around to watching Hamilton, you know, the musical Hamilton. They actually filmed the live on-stage performance. And yeah, you know, I watched it and enjoyed it for what it was, but I'm not much of a guy for musicals. Years and years ago, I went to see Les Miserables and Phantom of the Opera in Toronto. Like, I saw them performed live in the theater there, and I loved that. And after, you know, each of those performances, I'd listen to the soundtrack from those performances for weeks and even months afterwards. But I think there's something different between seeing something live and then watching a musical, you know, especially now because I'm watching everything on my phone with my laptop still. You know, I haven't replaced it yet. So I'm watching all these movies on my smartphone. And I don't know, listening to people sing dialogue on and on and on, I just kind of get bored. And in fact, you know, I'm listening to the songs about Hamilton and all of them, you know, the historical period that they're talking about. And I would pause the movie and go to Wikipedia and read up on Hamilton, you know, read his biography, read the biography of all the other people in his life. And I found reading about him far more interesting than the musical itself. So I'd go off on this, you know, internet, you know, research, you know, go down the rabbit hole of finding out more about Hamilton. And 2 hours later, I'd resurface and like, oh yeah, I forgot I was watching the musical. Then I go back to the musical. Something else would be mentioned, and I'm thinking, oh, that battle in the American Revolution, what happened there? And then I go back to the internet. 2 hours later, again, I forgot that I was watching the musical. So I didn't really enjoy it that much. The one character I really liked was the guy who played King George III He was very funny, very charismatic, and whenever he performed, I think that was my favorite part. And as often happens with shows and movies, you see someone and you think, I know who that guy is. You know, so the guy who was playing King George III, I recognized him. He was so familiar to me. And I thought, who is that guy and what have I seen him in? And this happens to me all the time. And I was so surprised because, I paused the movie again and I went to investigate and I found out that the actor's name was, I think, Jonathan Groff. And he plays the main character in the TV show Mindhunter. And I loved Mindhunter, enjoyed it very much. But it was just such a surprise to think of, the same actor playing, singing the role of King George III, this very comedic performance. And then he also plays like a super serious, intellectual, almost, humorless psychoanalyst in Mindhunter. So it's very interesting to see the different roles, that these actors can play, and you fully accept them, in all these different roles. So that was Hamilton. I also watched the new Tom Hanks World War II movie, Greyhound. I saw a lot of people criticizing it online, but I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I think people criticized it because it didn't have a lot of backstory to the people, the characters and the drama and everything. But I didn't really need any of that. What I really liked about Greyhound was how it focused so closely on just the mechanics of the destroyer and all the military ships that were escorting the convoy, across the Atlantic, and just how they worked, the military system, the chain of command, just all the little details of the way one of these ships would operate and the technology of the day. I just found that absolutely fascinating. So yeah, you're talking about German U-boats stalking, American and British destroyers with torpedoes, and they're dumping depth charges on them. I mean, what can be wrong with that, right? I thought it was very tense, quite exciting. And even the little bit of backstory you got, the little bit of character drama about Tom Hanks, I didn't even need that. They gave a little bit of his story, and of course, it involved the woman that he left behind and all this kind of stuff. And there were flashbacks, and to be honest, all of that I could have done without. I just needed to get back to the U-boats and the torpedoes. But yeah, I enjoyed Greyhound a lot more than I thought I would. I'm back on the bridge near the canal. So that was my canal adventure for this morning. Another movie that really stuck in my head was I believe it was Spanish, maybe Spanish, Portuguese co-production, I'm not sure, a movie called Adu. And it is mainly the story of a young boy from Cameroon who, for a variety of circumstances, fled from his village in Cameroon, and he was trying to make it all the way to Morocco and then over to Spain, where he had relatives waiting for him or someone who could help him. So essentially, the movie was trying to dramatize the story of refugees from Africa trying to make their way from sub-Saharan and Saharan Africa across the borders into Morocco. And yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. But I enjoyed it mainly because of the scenery that it showed. It was not a glamour project in any way. The way they filmed it, they really focused on the nitty-gritty of a street life and the horrors that this boy had to live through to make his way from Cameroon all the way to Morocco in his attempt, to make it into Western Europe. But yeah, I've been to Africa a couple of times, and just the life on the street there is quite fascinating. I like to just walk around in places where I am, and simply walking around anywhere in Africa. I've only been to 2 countries there, but both trips were incredible experiences. And just walking around Ethiopia and walking around Guinea, the cities there and the countryside are just amazing experiences. And I got to relive so much of that through this movie, Adu. It was an interesting movie in that they tried to do something fancy. They actually had 3 different storylines. The one about the boy, Adu, and then the other was about a border guard in Morocco and Spain. Well, border guard in Spain, I guess. And a third one about a Spanish expat working for an NGO protecting elephants in Cameroon. And they tried to be really clever with the plot to make those 3 storylines intersect. And to be honest, it didn't really work that well. I mean, I enjoyed all 3 storylines, but it was a little bit clunky and a little bit awkward the way they tried to force those stories to connect eventually. But yeah, as I said, I enjoyed the movie very much. It's stuck in my mind. And in all my movie watching, I think I discovered a new category of movie. I'd never thought about this before, but there's a type of movie out there now that comes with so much marketing and so many clips showing up on YouTube that you end up thinking you've seen the movie when in fact you haven't seen it. So all this time, I mean, I like watching small movies like Adu, things like that, but I also enjoy, watching the big blockbusters. I like to keep up with all pop culture. So I enjoy a blockbuster just as much as I enjoy small independent films. So all this time, I thought I had already seen Deadpool 2 and Venom because you see so much marketing for them. I mean, Deadpool 2, there was so many commercials about it with, the Deadpool character doing breaking the fourth wall skits and all these different things. So by the time I lived through all the marketing and seeing all the clips on YouTube, I actually thought I'd seen the movie. And it came as a surprise to me when I discovered that, no, in fact, I'd never seen Deadpool 2. Same thing with Venom. I'd seen so many commercials for it, so many advertisements. I thought I'd seen Venom, but no, I'd only seen a few of the key scenes. Anyway, I watched both Deadpool 2 and Venom. And I'm here in Mesa trying to cross the road again. It's crazy how much traffic there is in this small town. Maybe Mondays are busier than other days, I don't know. But yeah, still waiting. I watched some other movies and I could talk about those, but I think I'll leave it at that. As far as TV shows go, I'm more excited about what is coming up. I was a big fan of The Umbrella Academy Season 1 and especially of The Boys Season 1. And Season 2 of both those shows is coming out soon. I think Season 2 of The Umbrella Academy is coming out on, July 31st or something like that. And The Boys Season 2 is coming out on September 4th. So I'm really looking forward to those shows coming out again. One TV show I watched that I really enjoyed was called Alias Grace, and that is a story based on a book by Margaret Atwood, a Canadian writer, and her book was in turn based on a real person, a real historical figure, an Irish immigrant, I think she was Irish, immigrant to Canada long ago who found herself accused of murder and put on trial. And it was kind of the story of what really happened. And as a show, it was really well done. So that was Alias Grace. Well, I just finished dealing with my nemesis, the ATM machine at the bank behind me there. It's always such a stressful experience. This time, something happened that hasn't happened for a long time. It kind of freaked me out. Put my card in, asked me for my PIN code, fine. What do I want to do? Withdraw cash from what account? No problem. And then I got the message that said, Your transaction is being processed. Please wait. And as I mentioned in a previous video, at this time I have my hands on the ATM machine and I'm waiting for that vibration, because if the machine starts to vibrate, I know that the cash dispensing machine on the inside is in operation. So I know my transaction will be successful and I will get some money. But if you don't feel anything, if there's no vibration, that means something is wrong. So this time I'm holding on to the ATM, waiting and waiting and waiting for that vibration, waiting to feel happy, with money in my hand. And then nothing happened. I waited and waited and waited for a long time, and there was no vibration, nothing happened, and the message on the ATM never changed. It just said, processing your transaction, please wait. So yeah, I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and nothing is happening. Basically, the ATM has frozen. My card is inside. It has eaten my card, and it's not responding. So I'm thinking, oh boy, now what's going to happen? So I started looking inside the bank, trying to catch the eye of the security guard or a bank teller and kind of wave them over and show them that the machine has frozen. And, what can I do now? And I was getting a little bit nervous, getting more and more nervous. And then, to my relief, the machine started to make beeping sounds. It didn't vibrate, but it did start to beep, and that's a good sign. And then I got a message saying, your transaction has timed out. And then it spit my card back out. So it's like, at least they didn't keep my card. But then, of course, you're in a kind of an awkward position. Again, as a foreigner overseas, you have to be careful about these things, because something went wrong with that transaction, and I don't know what. And if I instantly put my card back in again, it'll probably trigger all kinds of security warnings in Canada, because it looks like someone is trying to access my account, having trouble and doing it over and over again. So you're kind of thinking, should I do it now? Should I wait for a couple of days before I try again? What should I do? In this case, I kind of needed the money, so I decided to risk it, and I put my card back in, repeated the transaction, held on to the ATM, and to my delight, after a few seconds, it started to vibrate. And I was like, yes, money, I got money. And that's such a funny thing. And since I'm talking about money in my bank, I should say something positive, because I often say very negative things about my bank in Canada. It's caused me a lot of trouble over the years. But lately, they've done some really amazing things, so I should give them credit where credit is due. I recently had trouble accessing my accounts online, but then I discovered that their new app, like rather than accessing your account through the website, like through Google Chrome or something, the app that my bank provides, they've really updated it. It is now super slick, super streamlined, really efficient, really well designed, well organized, and now I can use the app to access my accounts, and it works beautifully. They did a really nice job with that. So, kudos to them. Very happy about that. And the last time I used the app, I got this big information page that said that my bank has implemented a new system where you can get email or push notification alerts every time something is charged to your credit card. And man, I was doing handstands over that as well, because this is a feature that I've wanted for years, probably for decades. And I didn't understand why this didn't exist, You've got a credit card. How hard is it that every time a charge is made to your credit card, something dings, you get an email, oh, someone has just charged $500 to your credit card. You should know these things, right? And then if it's you that made the charge, well, of course, there's the notification. You made the charge, you get confirmation of it. But if someone gets hold of your credit card information and is making charges, a criminal or a scam or something, then now you're getting, you find out right away. In the old days, you had to wait for the whole month practically, you know, because, you know, you wait for your credit card bill to show up, and then you see, oh, someone's charged, you know, $1,000 to my card, and it wasn't me. But you had no idea, you know, when it happened in real time. And now my bank has put in this system that every time a charge is made to my credit card, I get an email. So, a little bit late, I think. I think they could have implemented this system 10 years ago, but better late than never, they say. So, yeah. Good things from my bank for a change instead of bad news. Next stop, Punumi Coffee Shop. As I said, I tried to go to this coffee shop before, but they happened to be closed for 4 or 5 days. I guess the owners went on a holiday or something. And it was located over here. Right over there is sort of the gate entrance to a temple, and that leads to quite a large, very nice temple complex. And the Punumi Coffee Shop is located right down here. I checked online, and according to everything I saw, it should be open today. And we will find out whether I have good luck or bad luck today. A little bit hot and sweaty now from all this walking around. So I think I'll be getting an iced coffee if they are in fact open. We shall find out whether my superpower of always going places when they're closed is active today or not. Oh, looking good. And there it is over there, and it appears to be open. So my superpower was defeated in a good way. Oh yeah, very nice. So yeah, they got some seating at the counter there, and then some outdoor seating over here. So I'm here at my table in Punumi. I just ordered a standard, iced cafe latte. She gave me the choice between regular milk or sweetened condensed milk. I went for the sweetened condensed milk. I think I need some, I need a sugar hit for some energy this morning. And yeah, I think they make a lot of specialty coffees here, and I grabbed one of their menus to kind of see what else they might be able to make here. So there's the specialty coffee menu. So it looks like they have a Peruvian coffee, Ethiopian coffee, Colombian, and a Guatemalan from Huehuetenango. I should have ordered that because I've actually been to Huehuetenango and lots of other places in Guatemala. And of course, yeah, I've been to Ethiopia, so I could have had Ethiopian coffee as well. Yeah, and I've been to Peru, so I could have had coffee from 3 countries that I've been to. And I've always wanted to go to Colombia. It's been on my radar for a long time. So maybe this is a sign that I should go to Colombia whenever it becomes possible. And then this is their regular menu: espressos, americanos, cafe lattes, and the prices. And then coconut frap, strawberry smoothies, things like that. So it has kind of a nice atmosphere in here. Lots of little things on the walls. Oh, and there's my cafe latte. Thank you. And there it is. Came in a nice cup. Keep calm and drink. Oh, turn it this way. Get a better look at it with the lighting. Keep calm and drink bubble tea cup. Ah, look at that. It's got nice layers, lots of ice. I'm having a hard time getting a smile out of the barista, but let's see if she made a nice cup of coffee. Okay, let's give this a try. I'm pretty sure I will love it. I mean, for me, with an iced coffee like this, it's more about, is it cold enough, and how's the presentation? So, can't really go wrong. Okay. I think the sweetened condensed milk was maybe a poor choice on my part. I should have gone just for regular milk. Because that's that's sweet. Even for my sweet tooth, that's a little bit too sweet. So mental note, if you're offered the choice between regular milk and sweetened condensed, go for the regular. And down at the bottom, actually, it's not really cold yet. I got to keep working the ice into this thing. My latte is better now. Iced latte is better now. I figured out what was going on when she made the coffee. She just made it in layers. So it was like solid condensed milk in the bottom half, and then all of the coffee was in the top half. And I kind of mixed it a little bit, but I didn't mix it up nearly enough. So my first drink was like 100% warm condensed milk from the bottom. And then I took a drink from the top, and that's where all the coffee was. So now I've been busy, mixing it. And now it's, much, much better now. Just needed to be mixed up. Yeah, much better. It's sweetish, but not nearly as sweet as I thought it was. It's pretty good. Iced coffee, iced latte from Panumi. Yeah, big part of this last week for me has been podcasts. I'm a big podcast listener. And for a lot of this week, I was listening to a lot of podcasts from, I guess, my second favorite podcast. My favorite one is Planet Money from NPR. And my second favorite is Radiolab from WNYC Studios. Yeah. So yeah, it's called Radiolab. Has a heavy emphasis on science and history and culture, but kind of almost everything with a bit of a science angle to it, I suppose. More often than not, it's to do with science and nature and biology and stuff like that. And one episode that really stuck with me this week was really incredible. I'll put a link to it in the description. I think it's called Octomom was the name of the episode. And it was a story of an octopus. And it was kind of an accidental discovery where this marine biologist team were kind of off the coast of Monterey in California. And they were doing studies of ocean currents or something, and they happened to have a submarine that they were sending down into the water to take readings and things. And sometimes they would finish their readings early, and they would still have power left in the submarine batteries, so they would just go exploring. So they sent this submarine there's nobody inside it, the whole thing was remote controlled. And they sent this thing down 1.5 miles to the bottom of the ocean. And one day, just by accident, they saw an octopus. And this was down at the very bottom where it was pitch black, right? There's no light down there at all. None of the sunlight could penetrate, 1.5 miles to the bottom. So you're dealing in a world of utter, complete darkness. All the marine life lives in darkness their entire lives. The only light available down there is light that the animals create themselves. But the submarine had lights, and they were shining the lights around, and they saw this octopus. And the octopus was crawling along the bottom and came to a rock outcropping, and then it stopped and started to lay eggs. And eventually, they watched it laying eggs for a while, and then, their battery was running out, so they had to leave, and the submarine surfaced, and this team went away. And then months later, I don't know how many months, I don't remember all the details, but a few months later, they came back, were doing their readings, and when they were finished, they sent the submarine down again, and they kind of went to look to see, if this octopus was still there. And to their surprise, it was. They counted the eggs, and the octopus had laid 160 eggs on this rock, and she was now kind of hovering, like sitting on top of the eggs and protecting them. And I guess there are all these crabs on the bottom of the sea floor, and the crabs kept coming close, trying to eat the eggs, and then the mother octopus would, fight them off and drive off all of these crabs trying to eat her eggs. And this was quite interesting from a biological perspective because no one had seen this before. At that depth, no one had seen this octopus lay eggs before. This was all like brand new. No one had ever seen this before. So anyway, this research team, they left again. Months and months and months later, they returned, and to their astonishment, the same scene was there. The octopus was still on top of the 160 eggs and guarding them from all of the crabs, trying to eat them. And they watched her for a while, and then they left again, came back later, like a year later, she was still there. A year and a half later, still there. 2 years later, they returned, octopus was still there, protecting the eggs. And believe it or not, 3 years later, still there. 4 years later, she was still there, still protecting her eggs. And they did a bit of research about the octopus by this point, and they learned, and they saw through their own eyes, that this octopus never ate. Once it laid the eggs, it stayed to protect them, and from that point on, it never went hunting, it never ate again. So this mother octopus had been there protecting her brood for 4 years. 4 years, never moving from that one spot, constantly fighting off the crabs that were trying to eat the eggs. 4.5 years had passed. They returned, and finally the octopus was gone, and the eggs had hatched. And they sent the submarine around a little bit, and they saw little hatchlings, like little octopi, crawling around. So they knew that the eggs had hatched. And once the eggs had hatched, the mother octopus had completed her job, and then her body, I guess, just fell to the bottom, and the crabs had eaten her body. But that story just blew my mind. 4.5 years protecting those eggs, never moving and never eating in that entire time. And of course, that raises the question of how, she could have survived for 4.5 years without eating. And I guess they learned that with these octopi, with these octopus, most of their body and their brain just shuts down. So every piece of the brain stopped functioning except for this one tiny little kernel, a little tiny bit of brain that controlled the instinct to fight the crabs and protect the eggs. And that was the only part of her brain still operating. So, the brain and the body didn't need a lot of energy, apparently, to continue functioning. Just had that one tiny kernel, almost like an instinct to fight off the crabs. And then the body, remained active for 4.5 years, fighting off crabs and protecting her babies, basically. Anyway, that's the kind of story that Radiolab does. And I just heard story after story like that all week long as I've been hibernating here in Mesot. But that's one of the episodes that really stuck out in my mind. So yeah, if you want to hear something really interesting, check out Radiolab and the episode Octomom. Link in the description. That is the end of my coffee experience at Panumi. Yeah, the cafe latte was good. My usual way of deciding about these things is to ask myself, would I come back and would I order the same thing? And to be honest, the answer is no to both questions. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm overly sensitive, but the woman running the place just seems so angry. I walked up and she gave me this look like what are you doing here? And no, I tried very hard to get some kind of a smile or a welcome or anything out of her, some eye contact or anything, but no, she was she was not friendly at all the way to the end. So I just did not feel welcome there at all. Yeah, I kind of watched her interacting with other customers that came in, and she was the same with everybody. So it wasn't just because I was a foreigner or because I had a GoPro or something like that. She just had, you know, the kind of a blank expression. And I know when you go to a coffee shop, really, all you should judge the place on is how good the coffee was. But I don't know, I like friendly customer service. You know, it always makes me feel good to go somewhere. So like here in this neighborhood, that other coffee shop I went to is just down the street, and they were so nice there and they were so friendly that I would instinctively just go back there instead of going to Panumi, just because the level of customer service was so much better at the other place. Yeah, it's just the way I am, I guess. And that's pretty much it for my errands for today. All I really needed to do was pick up some money from the ATM. I got that done. But before I head back to the guest house, I think I'm going to get a snack if I can. There's a little stall here at this bus station market. I cannot figure out when it's open and when it's not open. I can't quite figure it out. But occasionally I'll see this little stand selling roast chicken. And it's so delicious. So as I was walking by to go to the coffee shop, I noticed that they were open today. So I think I'm going to get a couple of pieces of roast chicken for lunch. And I'll either eat it here at the stall or take it back to the guest house. We'll see what my mood is when I get there. I think her chicken is so popular that it sells out really fast. So I don't know for sure that there's going to be any left when I get back here, but fingers crossed I can pick up some of this delicious chicken. And the chicken stall is right behind all of these pickup trucks, just ahead of me here, so I can't see whether there's any chicken left or not. I won't find out until we get on the other side of this truck. Oh, I see some chicken. I'm very excited. And here it is here. Look at those big pieces of chicken. And I think I will get 2 of them, and I'll just, eat them back at my guest house. Haha, so excited. I have my 2 big pieces of chicken. I went overboard again, but it's not often that I have something like this. So, and got some sticky rice to go with it. And the people that run that little stall, very nice, very friendly, nice, warm, welcoming smiles. I got a big smile there, you know, every time I go there. So I always go back, you know. I'm all about that customer service. So I think I'm just going to sit outside my room at the guest house and enjoy my chicken. And I'll check back in with you when I get there. All right, it is lunchtime. There is my chicken. Here, I'll give you a close-up look. And they put it in these wooden, like bamboo skewers that are held tight with a piece of wire there. So it gives you, I guess it helps them to cook it, and they can turn it over, but then it gives you a nice handle so that you can hold on to it to eat it. And I got 2 pieces, so I'll have 1 piece for lunch and then another piece for dinner. And I got the sticky rice to go along with it. Oh, this looks so good. The price seems to change every day. I'm not sure why. I've paid 60 baht for 2 pieces, and I've paid 70 baht for 2 pieces. And today, for some reason, it was 80 baht for 2 pieces. Maybe these pieces of chicken were bigger today or something. I don't know. Time to give it a try. So good. I'm sure if I stayed there and ate it, they had a couple of tables there, I could have stayed there as well. I'm sure they had all kinds of sauces and spices that you could add to the chicken. But to me, it was very, very tasty, just as it is. Very good lunch. I'll get back to my lunch in a minute. Guess now that I'm here at the guest house again, a couple of guest house stories. One of them is from yesterday. I happened to be getting some, cold water out of the fridge. I opened the fridge door, and it turns out that the gecko that usually lives underneath my fridge, he has kind of a home down there, and then he runs in and out all day long. Somehow, my refrigerator gecko got inside the refrigerator. I didn't see how he did it. I must have had the door open at some point, and then he ran inside, and then I closed the door, and I guess he was trapped inside. And the poor guy, when I opened the fridge again later on, not knowing that he was in there, he was like stuck against the door, and he wouldn't move, of course. He was like a frozen popsicle, this poor guy. So I gently, took him out from the fridge and then put him down on the floor. And I'll put in a picture of him. I snapped a picture with my phone of the gecko, down the floor, right in front of the refrigerator. Here he is now. Anyway, that gecko, he stayed there for a long, long time as he warmed up. But a couple of hours later, I went out into Mesot, and then I came back, and when I opened the door, he was still there in front of the fridge on the floor. But then when he saw me come in, he suddenly ran, and he ran under the fridge. So he was okay. He recovered from his, from his cold-induced hibernation in the refrigerator. Lunch is over. I just powered through that chicken and sticky rice. Actually, I ate half the rice and one of the pieces of chicken, and the rest I'm saving for dinner or maybe lunch tomorrow. Who knows? Just one more guest house story before I wind up this update video for today. The other day, I was sitting in my room just reading a book or something, and I looked down on the floor and I saw one of the local pretty large centipedes come crawling across the floor. I shot a little bit of video of this beast, as I call him, and I'll stick it in right now. You can see what this centipede looked like.
There's a little lake at 1.07 times crop. It's just enough to annoy you, because you don't have any wide lenses that weigh a normal.
So that was the centipede. And for a while, I adopted kind of a live and let live policy. I figured he found his way into the room. Eventually, he's going to find a way out, so I just let him do whatever he was going to do. But he just would not go away. So for the whole day, he would go underneath my bed, and then he would just disappear, and I have no idea where he went. And then a little bit later, he'd suddenly pop up at the other side of the room. And I kept thinking he would crawl up onto the bed, onto the mattress, and start crawling on me or something. And I wasn't too thrilled about that. Here in Thailand, I know they have what they call the giant centipede. This one isn't the giant centipede, because the giant one is quite a bit bigger. And it has quite a poisonous bite. So one of those you really wouldn't want to mess around with at all. This centipede, I think, also has a, kind of a poisonous bite. Maybe if it bites you, it's like a couple of bad bee stings or something like that. I'm not really sure. But, whatever, it feels like I did not want to step on him by accident and get bitten or something. So eventually I made up my mind to somehow urge him out of the room. So I opened the door, and at the end of the video there, you can see just a few seconds, I grabbed a bath mat from the bathroom, and I was kind of using it to sort of push him towards the door. And he got really upset about that. You can see he was like lashing his tail around like crazy, and he really seemed to get angry. So I was very, very careful with the bath mat, and I slowly worked him towards the door. And then when he crawled onto the bath mat, I could flip him outside, and then he disappeared around the corner here, and he was gone. And he may have come back at some point. I have no idea. But if he did come back, I didn't see him. So that was one of my animal adventures for the week. I also got 2 more parcels in the mail here at the Green Guest House. And both of these contain more OTG adapters. This one came with 2 of them, and each one has a little, like a keychain attachment onto them. And they are USB-C to USB micro adapters, for OTG cable. I tested both of them, and unfortunately, they don't work with my phones either. So thank you very much to whoever sent these 2 to me. Perhaps I will have use for them someday, but they don't work with my phone either. I would tell you who they came from, but these packages never have a name on them. And I think what happens is that maybe the name is on the first shipping label, and then maybe when it goes through customs or something, they slap another label on top, covering up the original one. And I've tried removing, the second label, but they won't come off. So I can't access the original label to see, the name of the sender. Or maybe it's not even on there, I'm not sure. And then a day or so later, I got another package in the mail. And I believe this one came from Malaysia. But the same way, I can't actually read the original shipping label, so I don't know who it is from. And this one came with 4 OTG adapters. So thank you very much to whoever sent me these 4. And I guess the idea was that one of them would work if the others didn't. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, none of these adapters will connect the cable to my phone. So apparently, no matter how many adapters you try out, none of them are going to work, with my OTG cable and my phone. So again, thank you very much to whoever sent me these adapters, and I will eventually find a good home for them. I'll find somebody that can use them, and I will pass them on. So that's kind of it, just for sort of a casual update video for today. I didn't go explore anywhere new except for the Punami coffee shop. And the big news, as I said, is waiting to find out what's going to happen with the visa extension proposal. And we won't know that until tomorrow or until Wednesday. And when that news comes through, I'll let you know what happened. All right. From Mae Sot, Thailand, goodbye for now, and I'll see you in the next video.